Welcome to Crying Inside, where we share emotional family stories, hidden wounds that leave a deep mark on the soul. If this is your first time here, please subscribe so you won't miss family stories that might make you think and even shed a tear. Sometimes, betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It doesn't come from friends, coworkers, or neighbors, but from those we love and trust the most. These shocks not only break our hearts, but also test our trust, patience, and the love we have for family. Today's story is about two sisters. The older sister is Claire, kind, devoted, always putting family first. The younger sister is Bella, beautiful and spoiled since childhood, but her greed slowly pulls her away from the true meaning of family. When their parents passed away, Bella staged an act of illness to claim the majority of the inheritance. But fate took a cruel turn when she actually became seriously ill. And the one who extended a helping hand was none other than the sister she had betrayed. This is a story of deceit, greed, pain, but also a journey of forgiveness and family love. The church bells echoed on a chilly autumn morning in Boston. On the stone steps, groups of people dressed in black quietly entered, faces bowed, heavy with grief. Inside, the funeral atmosphere was thick, with the scent of white lilies filling the room, making everyone feel suffocated. Claire sat in the front row, eyes red, gripping her Bible tightly to keep herself from breaking down. Their parents had just left her and her sister forever, after a sudden accident. But before the pain of loss could fade, Claire had to face another hard truth. Across the room, Isabella, affectionately called Bella, wore a simple black dress. Her pale face and trembling figure looked like she could collapse at any moment. Every time someone came to check on her, Bella would clutch her chest softly, her voice choked as if she were seriously ill. Her sparkling tears quickly drew the family's sympathy. Some held hands for comfort, others whispered, "It's so unfair. This girl just lost her parents and now she has to deal with illness." The whole church seemed immersed in sympathy for Bella. But only Claire knew the truth. The medical papers Bella showed were all fake. Claire had discovered this earlier, but in this sorrowful space, she couldn't expose her sister. Who would believe her? How could she stand in the church and reveal that it was all just an act to claim their parents' inheritance? Claire felt her heart tearing apart. She remembered childhood days when Bella was an innocent little girl running after her, sitting together on the porch, eating ice cream on a summer afternoon. They had promised to always be there for each other, no matter what. Yet today, her sister was coldly turning the pain of losing their parents into a tool for deception. The priest's final words closed the funeral. One by one, people stepped up to lay flowers on the coffin. Bella walked slowly again, her legs trembling, shoulders slumped as if about to faint. A few hurried to support her, whispering words of comfort. Claire watched this, biting her lip until it bled. She didn't know whether to cry for the death of her parents or for her sister's cruel betrayal. The family lawyer then announced that the will would be read later that day. The atmosphere in the room seemed to sink. Claire glanced briefly at Bella. Her sister's eyes shimmered with tears. But behind that veil was a dark secret Claire already knew. That night, Claire couldn't sleep a wink. The image of Bella collapsing into a relative's shoulder, sobbing uncontrollably with trembling hands clutching a tissue, kept replaying in her mind. She wondered, why did Bella choose this path? Was greed clouding her judgment? Or was there something else hidden beneath? Claire had no answers, but she knew one thing clearly. From this day on, her family was no longer a peaceful place. It had become a battlefield where love could be traded for money, and where she faced the toughest choice of her life. Claire has always been known as a gentle and compassionate woman. After graduating in nursing, she worked as a nurse at a community hospital on the outskirts of Boston. The job was tough, and the pay wasn't great, but Claire never complained. She loved her work, loved how she could bring comfort to patients, loved the peace she felt seeing someone smile after pain. Claire lived simply in a small apartment, spending most of her time and youth caring for her aging parents. Many of her friends had started families, but she stayed single, because family was always her number one priority. In contrast to her older sister, Bella grew up spoiled and sheltered. Being the youngest, with a pretty face and lively personality, Bella was always cherished by everyone in the family. She loved parties, shopping, and chasing after luxury. As a child, Bella was often defended by their parents, while Claire quietly gave in. That difference grew bigger over the years. While Claire studied hard and worked part-time to help the family, Bella spent freely without ever thinking about her sister's sacrifices. Yet, Claire never blamed her. She saw it as her duty as the eldest sister to protect and support her younger sister. As for Bella, though often selfish, she still had moments that were truly endearing. Those childhood memories remain vivid in Claire's mind. She remembered the autumn festival at their elementary school, when the two sisters held hands running around the playground, hair flying in the wind, smiling brightly. That day, under the blazing red maple leaves, Bella whispered to her sister, "Promise me we'll always be family." Claire squeezed her hand tightly and nodded without hesitation. Claire was calm and forgiving. She always knew how to control her emotions, listening more instead of judging. With patience, she was caring and patient. With family, especially her sister, she was always ready to take on the hard parts herself. It was this quiet self-sacrifice that earned Claire the respect of many around her, but also unknowingly made her vulnerable. Bella was completely different. Since childhood, she had been impulsive and ambitious. If Bella wants a toy, she'll cry until she gets it. As she grew up, that personality turned into a craving for money and fame. Bella believes life is short, so you have to live for yourself and enjoy the most luxurious things. She loves cocktail parties in the city, wearing expensive dresses, and the admiring looks from others. For Bella, that's the true measure of value. The contrast between the two sisters is like two sides of the same coin. Claire is introverted, calm, and chooses a humble lifestyle, while Bella is outgoing, impulsive, and always craves the spotlight. Yet no matter how different they are, they're still sisters, sharing the same home, the same childhood, and the same blood running through their veins. That's why Claire felt shattered when she saw Bella make up a fake illness story to claim the inheritance. For Claire, the betrayal wasn't just about money. It was like a knife cutting straight into their childhood memories, into the promise they made under the red maple leaves. In that moment of grief, when everyone was feeling sorry for Bella, Claire realized she had lost both her parents and the image of the sister she once loved. And because of their contrasting personalities, the story became more complicated and tense than ever before. Every year, Claire and Bella's family eagerly looks forward to the 4th of July. It's not just the day America lights up with music and fireworks. It's also a time for the family to come together. In the backyard of their Boston suburb home, Dad usually starts the grill early, the smell of beef, sausages, and BBQ chicken filling the air, mixed with the laughter of nearby neighbors. Mom prepares cornbread, potato salad, and simple desserts, while Claire and Bella help set the table and bring out the hot dogs, neatly arranged on plates. Those moments make the family space lively, warm, and full of happiness. When night falls, the whole family pulls chairs out onto the backyard lawn. Fireworks explode in the sky, leaving bright streaks that turn the night into a vivid painting. Bella often cheers with excitement, her eyes sparkling, laughter echoing throughout the garden. Claire sat beside her parents, holding a glass of lemonade, quietly watching the bursts of light explode against the dark sky. For her, it was a moment of peace, a feeling of safety wrapped in family love. Evenings like these were always tied to her father's stories. He would often recount the journey of his first steps in America, starting with empty hands but a heart full of dreams. Dad worked in a factory, and Mom took the night shift at a laundromat. They would meet briefly in the early mornings, exchanging a quick hug before each went back to the grind of making a living. "The American dream isn't just about money or fame," Dad would say, his voice steady and deep. "That dream is about us being able to sit here together, safe and happy. Family always comes first." That phrase echoed through the years, a reminder etched deeply in Claire's mind. Mom would add to the story with simple memories. She remembered snowy winter days, when the whole family huddled around a small heater, sharing hot cocoa, yet laughing out loud. "We may never be rich," Mom said, "but we have each other, and that's the greatest treasure." Her words made Claire feel the true value of closeness, while Bella usually just smiled and quickly got lost snapping fireworks photos to post on social media. The suburban home in Boston, with its white fence, wildflower garden, and old wooden swing, stood as a symbol of perseverance and love. It held every mark of childhood: laughter on the lawn, hurried footsteps to school each morning, quiet moments sitting on the porch watching the rain. To Claire, the house was the soul of the family, something money couldn't measure. But for Bella, the dazzling fireworks, lively parties, and admiration from others slowly became the goals she longed for. That Independence Day night, Claire sat close to her mom, gently resting her head on her shoulder, feeling a deep sense of peace. Bella stood on the grass, beaming brightly as she took sparkling selfies. That small difference went unnoticed by anyone, but it laid the foundation for a crack. Claire held tightly to the belief that family was everything, while Bella began dreaming of a world filled with wealth and glamour. From that very contrast, the seed of the tragedy to come was silently sown. Less than a week after the funeral, the atmosphere in the family remained heavy. The photos of their parents still hanging on the wall stabbed Claire's heart every time she walked past. The once warm home in the Boston suburbs suddenly felt cold, the laughter from years ago now just echoes in memories. That day, all the relatives gathered at the family lawyer's office to hear the reading of the will. On the table, the files were neatly stacked. No one spoke except the slow ticking of the clock. The lawyer began calmly, reading each clause slowly. The parents left behind a total estate of about $2.8 million, including the house in Boston, a small vacation villa in Maine, and some savings. According to the will, all the assets were to be split equally between the two sisters, Claire and Bella. The room fell completely silent, all eyes fixed on them. For Claire, this was what their parents had promised: fairness and transparency. But before she could breathe a sigh of relief, she suddenly heard Bella's sobs breaking the silence. Bella covered her mouth with a tissue, tears streaming down, her voice trembling so much that everyone in the room fell silent. "I'm sorry. I can't keep it hidden anymore. I've been diagnosed with a terminal illness. I don't have much time left." Those words hit the already tense atmosphere like a knife. Some relatives gasped in surprise. Others rushed to hug Bella, comforting her while she continued to sob. The lawyer looked momentarily flustered, paused briefly, then glanced at Claire as if seeking confirmation. Claire sat frozen, ears ringing, her heart tightening. She knew the truth wasn't like that. Before the funeral, she had accidentally seen the medical papers Bella had shown, recognized the forged doctor's signature, and the stamp that didn't meet the standards. But now, surrounded by people showering her sister with love and trust, Claire knew she couldn't stand up and expose the truth. Bella kept crying, gripping the edge of her shirt tightly, her voice choked up. "I don't want to compete with you. I just think, if possible, I need more to treat my illness. At least, I want to live a little longer." Those words brought tears to many family members in the room. An aunt sitting nearby whispered to Claire, "The poor girl. If you were the older sister, you'd let her have a little more. It wouldn't hurt." Claire clenched her hands, her nails digging into her skin until it hurt sharply. She wanted to scream that it was all a lie, that Bella was completely healthy. But her throat tightened, her eyes meeting her sister's desperate gaze. In that moment, Claire felt anger, pity, and helplessness, all at once. She knew that if she spoke up, everyone in the room would see her as heartless, as the cruel sister trying to grab every penny from her sick sibling. The lawyer cleared his throat, trying to bring the announcement back on track. He said they would follow the will exactly, but if one party had special needs, they could work to make adjustments. The room murmured again. Some nodded in agreement, while others sighed with sympathy for Bella. Every gaze turned to Claire, as if forcing her to agree to give most of the inheritance to her sister. Claire sat there, hands clasped together, eyes red and watery. She said nothing, just bowed her head. Inside, a storm was raging. She wasn't just losing her parents, she was losing the truth and her faith in her sister. The image of little Bella running around the schoolyard, holding her sister's hand, promising they'd always be family, shattered suddenly in Claire's mind. Now, all that remained was a different Bella, a girl who used lies to gain pity and the inheritance left by their parents. The room gradually emptied after the announcement ended. Bella was helped out like a frail patient, still wearing a grateful smile to those who believed in and stood by her. Claire followed behind, her heart heavy. She no longer heard voices, nor felt the Boston street breeze. In her mind, only one painful question remained. How could my sister go this far? After the will was announced, Bella quickly moved into the large mansion her parents left in the Boston suburbs. The house, once filled with childhood memories, white fences, and wildflower gardens, suddenly turned into a stage for Bella's lavish lifestyle. She hired a full interior design team to renovate the entire house, replacing the rustic wooden furniture that had been there for years with expensive leather sofas, Italian dining tables, and deep red velvet curtains. Servants came and went constantly. Luxury cars filled the driveway, and the garden, once a playground for the two sisters, was now just a place for loud parties. News of these changes spread quickly among the relatives. Everyone thought Bella was making the most of what little time she had left, since everyone believed she was truly terminally ill. Many even expressed sympathy, saying that if Bella only had a few months to live, her extravagant spending was understandable. Only Claire remained silent. She knew the truth behind it all, but that silence made her feel like an outsider in her own family. While Bella lived under the bright lights, Claire continued working steadily at the community hospital. Every day, she put on her white uniform, cared for elderly patients, listened to their complaints, and comforted them gently. The work helped her stay calm, at least temporarily forgetting the chaos happening within her family. But every time her shift ended, and she stepped onto the streets of Boston, seeing the bright billboards, Claire thought of her sister. She wondered what Bella was doing, whether she was sitting in a shiny limousine or raising a glass of wine at some party. The inner conflict left her both hurt and exhausted. One Friday evening, Claire was sent to a medical conference in New York. After the conference ended, she and a few colleagues walked past a luxury hotel right in the city center. As the bright neon lights reflected onto the street, Claire suddenly stopped. Right at the hotel entrance, among a crowd dressed to the nines, she saw Bella. Her sister wore a dazzling red evening gown, her hair curled and voluminous, smiling brightly as she linked arms with a young man. Bella walked gracefully, her high heels clicking rhythmically on the marble floor. She looked completely healthy, with rosy cheeks and eyes full of life. Claire stood frozen. Every shaky word at the funeral, every tear in front of the relatives, every pleading look from Bella now seemed like a cruel joke. Her colleagues wondered why Claire stopped, but she quietly slipped into a dark corner, her eyes never leaving her sister. She saw Bella raise a glass of champagne, clinking glasses with a group of wealthy friends, her bright laughter echoing through the hotel lobby. No sign of illness, not a hint of fatigue. Only a Bella, immersed in luxury and deceit, remained. Claire felt like her whole world was collapsing. She gripped the strap of her handbag tightly, her heart full of pain and anger. Her sister had exploited their parents' death, abused the family's trust, turning everything into a tool for her own pleasure. So many childhood memories, so many moments beneath the fiery red maple leaves during autumn festivals, all now seemed like illusions. Before Claire stood a different Bella, cold and unfamiliar. That night, Claire returned to her hotel room, unable to fall asleep. The music and laughter from the lavish party still echoed in her ears. She sat by the window, watching the twinkling lights of New York City, with only one question in her heart. Why did her sister choose this path? Was it greed that turned Bella into a traitor? Or had their parents' indulgence from childhood made her lose the true value of family love? Claire had no answers. She only knew that from now on their sisterly bond had fallen into an abyss. Claire couldn't stay silent any longer. After returning from New York, the image of Bella in a dazzling red dress, radiant amid the lavish party, haunted her every hour, every minute. Inside Claire burned a mix of anger and deep sadness. She remembered their parents, and their father's words, that family must always come first. But if family was now just a curtain of lies, what was there left to hold on to? One late afternoon, Claire went to see Bella at the mansion. The house was different now, shiny marble floors, expensive paintings covering the walls, soft music playing from a modern sound system. Bella walks down the stairs, looking proud, holding a glass of red wine. Seeing her sister, she gives a half smile, full of confidence. Claire tries to stay calm, but her heart is pounding. She speaks directly, her voice trembling but firm, saying she saw Bella completely healthy and that she knows the medical records are fake. Bella laughs, a cold laugh that sends chills down Claire's spine. She steps closer, sets her glass down on the table, and says slowly, "Who's going to believe you, Claire? What proof do you have besides your word? All the papers are on my side. Everyone believes me, and you're just bitter, because you lost your share of the inheritance." Bella's mocking smile cuts deep into Claire's heart like a knife. News of the confrontation quickly spreads through the family. A few who had already trusted Bella immediately start to doubt Claire. They whisper that Claire is jealous, that she can't accept her weak younger sister getting more sympathy from everyone. Someone even calls Claire directly, scolding, "You're the older sister. How can you be so selfish?" Bella is sick. She needs more care. Each reproach feels like a fresh wound cutting into Claire's heart. In the days that follow, Claire gradually feels isolated. At family gatherings, everyone's eyes are full of suspicion and distance. No one comes to ask how she is. No one reaches out to share. The devoted older sister who spent her youth caring for their parents is now seen as cruel and heartless. Meanwhile, Bella appears more and more at parties. Her glamorous photos flood social media. People look at them and believe even more that the poor young woman is living fully during her final days. Claire returns to work at the hospital, but the bottled-up pain makes it hard for her to focus, like before. Every time she picks up the stethoscope, every time she walks down the hallway, she thinks of their parents. I remembers the letter they left saying, "Family is the greatest treasure yet." That treasure has been broken by her own sister. One day, while caring for a patient, Claire suddenly breaks down crying, causing her coworkers to worry and help her to the break room. She apologized, saying it was just because she was tired, but the truth was she was falling into a mental crisis. At night, Claire sat in her dark little apartment, looking out the window as the distant Boston lights blurred in her teary eyes. She felt utterly alone. The whole family no longer trusted her. Relatives had turned their backs. Even the memory of her parents was now only in the past. That pain was like a huge weight pressing on her chest, making every breath difficult. Day by day, Claire was torn between two choices. On one hand, she wanted to stand up and expose the truth, proving that Bella was just a greedy liar. But on the other hand, she knew that if she did, the family would completely fall apart. The spiritual legacy of their parents would never remain intact. She was stuck in a spiral of helplessness, wanting to protect her family, yet unable to accept the betrayal. The mental crisis caused Claire to suffer from endless insomnia. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Bella's bright smile at the party, contrasting with her weak face at the funeral. Those images overlapped, turning into a nightmare that woke Claire up in the middle of the night, drenched in sweat. She hugged her pillow, trembling, whispering, "Why did it have to be my sister? Why Bella?" Deep down, Claire still hoped one day Bella would regret it, realize her mistake, but with each passing day, that hope grew smaller. Amid the dazzling lights of parties and the praise from outsiders, Bella seemed to have forgotten the true value of family love. And Claire, once a forgiving older sister, was now left with only a broken, desperate heart. The news came to Claire late one evening after she finished her shift at the hospital. Her phone kept ringing, the screen showing the name of a relative. The voice on the other end was panicked. "Claire, hurry to the central hospital. Bella just collapsed at a party. The doctor says it's very serious." Claire stood frozen, her hand shaking so much she almost dropped the phone. In her mind, the image of Bella, smiling brightly in the crowd, was still vivid just yesterday. How could someone so full of life suddenly collapse? She rushed to the Central Hospital in Boston. When she walked in, the scene before her made her heart tighten. Bella lay motionless on the emergency bed, her face pale, lips cracked and dry, medical devices beeping continuously. Around her were a few of Bella's party friends, whispering that she fainted on the floor while raising her glass. Claire stood frozen, her legs heavy, emotions swirling inside. Part of her wanted to believe this was just another act, but the doctor's real worried eyes and the test results spread out on the table told the truth. The treating doctor came out, looked Claire straight in the eyes, and said seriously, "We've done thorough tests. Bella has severe liver failure, end stage. She needs a liver transplant as soon as possible if she wants to survive." Claire's ears went numb, her heart pounding in her chest. Those words cut through her like a knife, shattering all doubt. This time, the illness was real, no more acts. Claire held the test report, her eyes trembling with every word. The liver enzyme levels were sky high, clear signs of liver failure, everything was confirmed. She dropped the paper on the table, collapsed into the chair, her head spinning. Deep inside, she felt both pain and bitterness. The past lies had made her lose trust, but the truth now was so cruel she couldn't turn away. The next day, doctors began testing to find a matching organ donor. The results stunned Claire. Among all their relatives, she was the only one with a compatible liver for Bella. Hearing this, Claire felt her chest tighten. The room fell silent. Everyone's eyes were on her, waiting for a decision. The relatives who once turned their backs and called her selfish now looked at her as their last life raft. Inside, a storm raged in Claire's heart. She remembered Bella crying uncontrollably at the funeral, pretending to be sick to seize the inheritance, the mocking laughter when challenging, "Who would believe you?" Still, vividly remembered. All the lies, betrayals, and bitterness flood back now. And now, the very one who was betrayed and isolated is the only person who can save her sister. That night, Claire sat alone in the hospital waiting room. Outside the window, city lights reflected on the rain-soaked street. She buried her head in her hands, pain choking her chest. Each tick of the clock seemed to emphasize the difficult decision she was about to make. Part of her wanted to give up, to let Bella face the consequences of her lies. But another part, holding on to memories of the little Bella she once knew, whispered that Claire couldn't turn her back. The doctor came to see Claire again, calm but firm. "If you agree, we will prepare for a partial liver donation. If not, I'm afraid Bella doesn't have much time left." Claire looked up, her eyes wet, heart torn in two. In that moment, she clearly felt the biggest conflict of her life. Then, looking through the glass at Bella lying still, gaunt-faced, tears quietly rolled down Claire's cheeks. She whispered to herself, "Even though you betrayed me, you're still my sister." That whisper echoed inside, leaving a decision Claire knew would change everything. In the days that followed, Claire felt like she was caught in a whirlwind. She kept going to work regularly, but her mind was always spinning with one question: should she save Bella or not? Every time she entered the hospital room, seeing her sister's pale face surrounded by countless IV lines and beeping machines, her heart ached. But then memories of Bella's months of deceiving the whole family, memories of that mocking smile saying, "Who would believe you?" flooded back, making Claire's hands tremble. One evening after her shift, Claire passed by a small church in downtown Boston. The door was slightly open, candlelight spilling out a warm yellow glow. The sound of hymns echoed softly, like a gentle invitation. Claire stepped inside and sat down in the last pew. She bowed her head, fingers intertwined, whispering silently, "God, what should I do? I was betrayed by my sister. I lost my trust, but now her life is in my hands. Can I forgive her Can I forget everything to save her? Her voice caught in her chest, tears streaming down her cheeks. In that moment, Claire remembered her parents. The image of her father sitting on the wooden chair on the porch, his warm voice repeating, "Family always comes first." The image of her mother smiling kindly, saying that the greatest treasure isn't money, but when the family still holds hands. Those words echoed clearly in Claire's mind, as if her parents were still sitting right beside her. Her heart wavered, pulled in two directions. Claire left the church late at night, walking through the quiet streets of Boston. Streetlights cast scattered shadows on the wet sidewalk after the rain. The night wind was biting cold, but inside she felt even colder. She knew she didn't have much time left to decide. The doctors had been clear. If the liver transplant wasn't done within the next few weeks, Bella wouldn't survive. The next day, Claire returned to the hospital. Bella was asleep, her face gaunt, eyelashes trembling lightly as if dreaming. Claire sat down beside the bed, her hand gently touching her sister's thin arm. In that moment, she no longer saw a betrayer, but a little sister who once sat on the swing in the garden, who laughed brightly, running around the schoolyard, who whispered in her ear, "Promise me you'll always be my family." That memory softened Claire's heart, and tears fell again. That night, Claire returned to her apartment and sat at her desk, staring at the liver donation consent form the doctor had given her. She picked up the pen, then put it down again. Thousands of voices rang in her head, one side screaming, "Don't do it, she betrayed you, she doesn't deserve it." The other side whispered, "She's your sister. If you abandon her, you'll regret it for life." The battle inside her lasted until midnight. Finally, Claire closed her eyes softly, took a deep breath, and signed. The pen shook in her hand, but the name Claire Anderson appeared clearly on the paper. After signing, she put the pen down, her hand trembling uncontrollably. A feeling of relief, mixed with pain, flooded over her, as if she had just let go of a heavy burden, but at the same time taken on a great responsibility. The next day, Claire met with the doctor for a final confirmation. The doctor asked repeatedly, "Are you sure you want to donate your liver? This is a major surgery, with many risks, and a long recovery time. You need to think it through carefully." Claire smiled sadly, her voice soft. "I'm sure. I can't let my sister die when I can save her." Her eyes shone with determination, though her heart still carried countless wounds yet to heal. After leaving the doctor's office, Claire paused in the long hallway, where the white fluorescent light cast down on the cold tile floor. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. From this moment on, nothing would ever be the same again. Her decision wasn't just to save Bella, but also a way to free herself from the cycle of hatred. Even though Bella had betrayed her, even though she had lost everything, Claire still chose love. On the quiet night before the surgery, Claire went to the small church on the corner of the street. She knelt down, candlelight flickering on her tired face. This time, she didn't ask for an answer. She softly said, "I've made my choice. Please give me the strength to carry on." And in that moment, she felt as if her parents were smiling somewhere, watching the two sisters, waiting for a miracle. The day of the surgery arrived, and the atmosphere in the hospital felt thick and heavy. Claire was taken to the prep room, dressed in a light blue surgical gown. Her heart raced, breaths quick and shallow, but her eyes were steady. In the next room, Bella was lying there waiting too. For the first time in weeks, Claire walked in to see her sister before they both headed into surgery. Bella looked wasted, her face pale, lips dry and cracked, with none of the proud demeanor she once had. When she saw Claire, Bella's eyes were red, and tears started to fall. She weakly reached out and took Claire's hand, her voice trembling. "Sis, I'm sorry." Claire froze, as if she couldn't believe what she just heard. Bella continued, each word choking in her throat. "Everything I said before, about being sick, it was a lie. I deceived everyone just to take the inheritance. I was greedy, selfish. I betrayed you. I know I don't deserve it, but I can't leave without confessing. Please, forgive me." The room fell silent. Claire stood there, her hand still held in her sister's. This is Intemen. Tears welled up and rolled down her cheeks. She had longed to hear those words, but now that they were spoken, her heart felt no victory or satisfaction. Instead, there was a deep pain, a sorrowful pity for her lost little sister. Claire gently bent down and whispered, "You've hurt me so much, but you're still my sister. Even though you were wrong, I still can't abandon you." Bella burst into sobs, her whole body trembling. The two sisters embraced, for the first time after so many storms, their tears mingling together. Then it was time for surgery. The lights above the operating room shone brightly. Doctors and nurses moved swiftly, the harsh clatter of medical tools echoing. Claire lay on the operating table, taking a deep breath before anesthesia. In that brief moment before falling into deep sleep, she thought of her parents, the evenings they spent together around simple meals, and her father's words, "Family always comes first." Fear slowly faded, replaced by a strange calm. The surgery lasted for hours. Outside, the red light of the operating room glowed through the night, keeping the family anxious. When the light turned off, the doctor stepped out, sweating but with eyes full of confidence. He announced the liver transplant was successful, and both sisters had made it through. That news was like a fresh breeze blowing into everyone's hearts. The day Claire woke up, morning light poured through the hospital window, shining on her tired but gentle face. In the bed beside her, Bella was still dozing, but her heartbeat and breathing were steady. Claire looked at her sister, a faint smile crossing her lips. Despite the pain in her body, she felt a peace she hadn't known in a long time. A few days later, as they both began to recover, Claire was called to the lawyer's office to receive some papers related to the old house. While rummaging through the files, Claire accidentally found a small old envelope marked for Claire and Bella. Her hand trembled as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter, the shaky but familiar handwriting of their father. "My dear children," the letter began, "if one day we are no longer with you, what your parents hope for most isn't that you keep this house or split every penny of the inheritance. The only thing we leave behind is not in a bank or real estate. It's in your hearts. We don't want you to fight over money, but to hold on to each other through hard times. Because wealth can be lost, but if family is lost, it can never be regained." Claire read each word, tears falling and smudging the page. She took the letter to the hospital room and sat beside Bella. When Bella opened her eyes, Claire gently placed the letter in her sister's hand. Bella trembled as she unfolded it, reading slowly, then broke down crying. Tears of regret, choking sobs echoed throughout the room. Claire wrapped her arms around her sister, and the two of them cried together, letting all the pain and heavy burdens of lies melt away in those tears. In that moment, Claire knew the surgery had not only saved a life, but also saved a family. Their parents' letter was like a bridge, bringing the two sisters back together after so many lost days. And for the first time in a long time, they truly felt the meaning of the saying, "Family is the only treasure you must never lose." In the days following the surgery, Bella woke up with a tired body, but eyes that were different than before. No longer proud or wearing a fake smile. Instead, there was quietness and deep remorse. Every time she looked at the bed next to her, where Claire was still weak after donating part of her liver, Bella would burst into tears. She never expected that the sister she once betrayed and cruelly lied to was the very person who saved her life. Bella's tears flowed nonstop, and for the first time in many years they were genuine tears. As they both slowly recovered, Bella took the initiative to talk to Claire. She sat by the bed, her trembling hand clasping her sister's, her voice hoarse. "Sis, I've made so many mistakes. I lied, I was greedy, I tore our family apart. Yet you still saved me. I don't know what else to say, but sorry." Claire was silent for a long moment, her eyes softening. She gently stroked her sister's hair and softly replied, "What I want isn't an apology, but for you to appreciate our family, to value what Mom and Dad left behind. You still have a chance to change. Those words woke Bella up like a sudden realization. She thought for days, recalling the letter from their parents that the two sisters had just read. In every trembling word, their parents didn't wish for them to fight or to be wealthy, only that they hold each other's hands during hard times. Bella understood she had gone too far, that her greed had turned her into someone she no longer recognized. And now, standing on the edge between life and death, she knew she had to do something to make things right. As soon as her health began to improve, Bella made a decision that surprised the whole family. She sold the lavish mansion she had proudly moved into after their parents passed away. With all the money she earned, she set up a charity fund in her parents' name to support poor patients fighting liver disease in Boston. "I can't get back what I lost," Bella said at the family meeting, "but I can spend the rest of my life doing something Mom and Dad would be proud of." That decision moved many people. Relatives who once trusted Bella now looked at her with new eyes. They saw the regret in her words and the honesty in her actions. No more lavish parties, no more glittering balls. Bella spent her time visiting hospitals, meeting poor patients, listening to their stories, and giving help through the charity fund. Throughout that journey, Claire was always by her side, quietly watching over and caring for her sister. She never once brought up the past, never blamed, never held grudges. Whenever Bella was tired after a long day, Claire would prepare a simple dinner, make a cup of hot tea, and sit quietly beside her. That silence wasn't distance, it was understanding. It gave Bella a chance to make things right, and both of them a chance to heal. The whole family gradually mended from cracks that once seemed impossible to fix. Relatives who had once turned their backs on Claire finally realized how much she had silently endured. They apologized, started looking at Claire with respect, and admired her even more when they saw she held no bitterness. In later small reunions, Claire and Bella sat side by side, with no distance, no harsh words. Instead, there were gentle smiles and tight handholds. For Claire, forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. She still remembered the pain her sister had caused, the sleepless nights, the moments of quiet tears. But she chose to forgive, because she understood that holding on to hatred would keep the family broken forever. Forgiveness opened the door for both of them to heal together, which was exactly what their parents wanted most. Bella, once a girl living in lies and ambition, now learned to live honestly and to give. Every time she looked at their parents' photo, she whispered, "I was wrong, but I'm making it right." And whenever she heard her sister's laughter beside her, she knew she still had a chance to be part of the family, not its destroyer. And so, from pain and betrayal, from lies and tears, the two sisters found each other again. Not through wealth, not through promises, but through small actions, through forgiveness and love. The consequences of their mistakes couldn't be erased, but they could become lessons for them to move forward hand in hand on a new journey. That fall, the maple leaves in Boston turned bright red, and the wind gently blew through the familiar long streets. For the first time in months, Claire and Bella returned to their parents' old house. The wooden door still smelled of old paint, and the hinges creaked softly as it opened, bringing back so many childhood memories. The house that once held a lifetime of memories, the place filled with the family's most beautiful moments, now lights up once again, but this time with a new meaning. Claire steps into the kitchen, where her mother's laughter used to echo during every holiday season. She rolls up her sleeves and starts preparing the turkey, mashed potatoes, and pumpkin pie. Bella stands nearby, quite different from the glamorous image she once had. Now she's simple in an old sweater, her hair tied back, hands awkwardly peeling potatoes. "I've never done this before," Bella says with a forced smile. "Mom always did everything." Claire smiles gently, guiding her step by step. No blame, no resentment, just two sisters standing side by side, sharing small tasks filled with warmth. The kitchen slowly fills with the aroma of Thanksgiving dinner. The sizzle of oil, the steady chop of the knife on the cutting board, mixed with soft music from an old radio. In that moment, they both seemed to return to childhood, sitting at the table listening to their father's stories about the early days, while their mother softly reminded them, Family always comes first. Those words remain true, now the bond that mends two once broken hearts. When dinner is ready, the two sisters set the table in the living room. On the familiar wooden table, Bella gently places a photo of their parents in the most honored spot. Her eyes well up, voice choked. I finally understand. Money is never more important than family. I wish I had realized that sooner. Claire stands beside her, quietly placing a hand on her sister's shoulder. Her eyes soften, a fleeting smile appears. Not the triumphant smile of the vindicated, but the peaceful smile of someone who finally sees family restored for real. That Thanksgiving dinner was simple, without the noise of relatives, without whispers of suspicion. Just two sisters, once apart, now sitting face to face, sharing a slice of pumpkin pie and a story about their parents. Bella talks about the charity she's building, about the poor patients she has met. Claire listens, occasionally nodding, quietly feeling that their parents must be smiling from afar. As the festival fireworks echo in the distance, Claire and Bella sit by the window, watching the brilliant lights in the night sky. No more challenges, no more fake tears. Only the quiet of two wounded souls learning to forgive and heal remains. In the moment, Bella rested her head on her sister's shoulder, softly whispering, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Claire closed her eyes, her heart filled with peace. She knew the road ahead would still be tough. The scars wouldn't disappear overnight, but at least today they found each other again. And that was the greatest gift their parents left behind. Thanksgiving night ended in warmth. The old house was no longer silent, but filled with light, laughter, and sincere tears. For Claire, this was more than a reunion dinner. It was a fresh start. She smiled, whispering inside, "Family can hurt us, but family is also the only place that can heal." Claire and Bella's story was not just a family tragedy, but a mirror reflecting life's deeper truths. From a small lie, from a greed to claim inheritance, the whole family fell into a pit of suspicion and pain. Claire once lost faith, felt betrayed, and went through a mental crisis because of her sister. Bella got lost, blinded by greed, losing both her family love and herself. But after everything, when life and death stood side by side, they realized the most precious thing wasn't in the bank, the mansions, or lavish parties, but in the word family. Money can buy luxury, can create brief moments of satisfaction, but it can also tear a home apart. When greed appears, it can turn loved ones into enemies, love into hatred, trust into doubt. Yet, this story also shows another truth. No matter how much family ties are hurt, they always have the power to heal. Because deep inside everyone, family is always the place we turn to, the root nothing can replace. The biggest lesson here is forgiveness. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting everything that happened, nor does it mean denying the pain. Forgiveness is when we accept the past can't be changed, but the future can be rewritten. Forgiveness is when we choose love instead of hate, choosing to hold hands instead of turning away. Claire forgave, not because Bella deserved it, but because she understood that without forgiveness, she would lose whatever was left. And because of that choice, a family that seemed broken found a chance to heal. This was exactly what their parents had hoped for. In the letter they left behind, their parents didn't mention assets or money, only that the two sisters hold tightly to each other in hard times. That letter was like a guiding light, bringing Claire and Bella back to the right path. It reminded them that all material wealth is temporary, but family bonds are eternal, the only thing that can withstand time and trials. And now, the question isn't just for Claire and Bella, but for all of us. If you were in that situation, if your own brother or sister betrayed you just for money, would you have the heart to forgive? Would you hold on to the grudge, or would you open the door to a new chance for love to come back? And another question, maybe even more important, which do you think matters more, family or possessions? If you had to choose between a big, fully equipped house, but empty of laughter, and a small, simple kitchen always filled with loved ones, what would you pick? Leave your answer in the comments below. Your story could be an inspiration or comfort to someone else facing family division. Because wherever we are, we all share the same pain and the same longing, to be loved, to be forgiven, and to keep what's most precious, family. Thank you for staying with us until the end of today's story. Crying Inside always believes every family has its pains, cracks, and moments of healing. We share these stories not just to make you cry, but to help you feel that family, even when it hurts, is the only place that can warm your heart. If this story touched you, don't forget to hit subscribe to Crying Inside today. That way, you won't miss any emotional family stories, lessons on love, forgiveness, and the power of family. Every subscription from you is a huge encouragement for us to keep bringing meaningful stories that touch the hearts of thousands. Please share your thoughts in the comments, because your story might just be the light someone out there needs. And always remember, family can break you, but it can also heal you.